probably asking yourself, why should I care about astronomy? Has astronomy ever changed lives of the general public? What practical skills can I gain from astronomy? Welcome to another episode of Science Matters. This is where we discuss science matters and emphasize that science really does matter. Today, we are looking at the topic, astronomy as a strategic driver of sustainable development. And with me, I'm joined by Dr. Charles and Dr. Joy, who they will introduce themselves. The goal of this episode is to unpack how astronomy can actively contribute to sustainable development when intentionally linked to social needs. Can I please allow Dr. Joy to go first and introduce herself and tell us her contribution in the community of astronomy?
Hi, Mdhluli, and thank you so much for having us. So I am Dr. Mdhluli. I am with the International Astronomical Union's Office of Astronomy for Development. I coordinate our flagship projects in the office, and I also focus a bit on the research aspect of the work that we do in our office. I'll hand over to my colleague.
Thank you, Joy. Charles?
Hello, hi everyone. My name is Dr. Charles Takalana, and I am the Deputy Director at the International Astronomical Union's Office of Astronomy for Development, based in Cape Town at the South African Astronomical Observatory. And I'm an astronomer, so at least we can have some fun talking astronomy today a bit. And I'm always happy to sort of share what astronomy is about. I also hold an extraordinary lectureship position at Stellenbosch University within the physics department. Yeah.
Thank you so much, guys, for this nice, brief introduction. Before we discuss your recent publication, which was very, very much interesting, I want us to just have an ice break for the general public. Like I said, people have questions. They're thinking astronomy is all about the stars, the galaxies, the universe, just studying over and over again. They don't understand how it can impact, or I should say, we don't understand how it can impact us directly. So just to throw in a question on that, Dr. Charles, can you please give us an example or examples of how astronomy has actually impacted people's life, especially the general public?
Yeah, thank you so much, but I think when I always have this question, I always like to take people back to the very beginning, to the very first humans that walked our planet, right? One of the things that they saw, immediately on the first night that they recognized would have been the stars, right? And throughout humanity, we've been using the sky, we're using, every morning the sun rises, the moon, we see the moon, we see the stars. Um, and with this, people were able to recognize patterns in the sky, were able to use that to influence their daily lives, right? And in that already, I would like to see it as that people have already been doing astronomy, or humanity has been doing astronomy ever since we set our foot, on the planet. And therefore, we can say that astronomy is actually, the oldest science that we've been doing, ever since human set foot on this planet. Then we sort of think about how how astronomy is relevant in today's times. And astronomy is a science that pushes the limit of what we can do, as human beings. Like I mentioned, spoke about those very early human beings. They asked questions, when they looked at the night sky, and because of that curiosity, humanity has over millennia invented instruments to be able to observe the sky, to see deeper and see, even more and explore the universe, and answer, some of the questions like, where did we come from as human beings? Is there anything, out there like us? Or, it just also helps give humanity, I guess, a sense of belonging or want to see where they places in the universe. And in doing that, we push, the limits of technology. For example, we push the limits of what cameras can do, for example. We push, the limits of, of being able to observe across the different spectra. We cannot observe through dust, but what other frequencies can we observe through? We push the limits of that. And by pushing those limits, we are able to derive some applications that can be helpful, to people in sort of everyday lives. I mean, most people like referring, for example, to Wi-Fi, right? It's a thing that most of us cannot live without. I mean, if you think even my 5-year-old cannot live without Wi-Fi himself. It's something that no one can live without. And if it had not been for astronomy and radio astronomy in particular, would have never, been able, to sort of develop that very essential, technology that's able to connect us to one another. We are now able, to speak, seeing one another, through cameras. That's CCD technology, for example, right? That, those are sort of the technology that spun off from astronomy. So astronomy can be seen as a gateway discipline as well, right? And that it's a way to sort of ignite curiosity and also drive skills development, in young people and continue and those that sort of continue to the future, studying the field.
Thank you so much for that insightful reflection. Another thing that, as you were busy saying, Wi-Fi, radio astronomy, that different kind of astronomy, and people get confused. What is the difference between these different astronomy fields, but we'll take it some other time. But because I want to give Joy the next question, which speaks on opportunities in astronomy. Because maybe there are young people that are thinking, okay, unemployment rate is very high, opportunities are not really there. If I do astronomy, will I even get any opportunities? And if there are opportunities, how do they look like? Joy, can you please take that question for us? What are the opportunities in astronomy?
Wow, that's a very difficult question considering the fact that I don't have a background in astronomy. But I mean, I wouldn't say that there aren't enough opportunities in astronomy at the moment. I mean, South Africa is currently building the square kilometer array, and that in itself will provide a lot of opportunities for young people. So it's a good time to be going into astronomy, into radio astronomy. You should have that chat with Charles about the different kinds of astronomies. But yeah, I mean, if we just consider the skills that one gets when they do in astronomy, you get the data skills, and that opens up a whole new field of other opportunities that you can get outside of the sciences. You can go into finance, and you can go into banking, you can go into the data sciences. So just because you did astronomy doesn't necessarily mean you stay in astronomy. You, Mpho, are a good example of this. Look at you now doing communications. So it also goes back to what you are most passionate about. Astronomy can equip you with the skills to go do something outside of astronomy, and there are lots of opportunities. It just depends on how you want to complement your set of skills. So you can be doing a degree in astronomy, but you're very passionate about science communication, and you can go into science communication. If you're more passionate about outreach and education, you can also go that route. It doesn't necessarily mean that you have to continue with the research and continue discovering the universe. So I think there are a lot of opportunities out there. It's just a matter of what, at the end of the day, is what you are most passionate about and how those skills that you gain from astronomy can complement that. But yeah, South Africa at the moment stands at a very good position in terms of astronomy, and a lot of people can get into it, and there will be opportunities for them. In fact, we're looking for more astronomers in South Africa, so they should continue striving to become astronomers. And yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, thank you so much for that. Now, let's get into the main of the day, which is the recent publication that came out around astronomy as a strategic driver for sustainable development. So here in Science Matters, we believe that, especially if it's a research paper, it's normally answering a certain problem or answering a certain question. So can you please take us through why this paper? What problem was it trying to solve, or what was the aim of this publication? I don't know if maybe I can give that to Dr. Charles.
Yeah, sure, Mdhluli. I think the main purpose of that paper was sort of to highlight, the work that's been done in terms of astronomy, for development. I think that, many a times people, see astronomy as this far away, field, which is just about studying the stars, about these people busy building these big machines that cost a lot of money. But the sort of thing that we want to communicate as well is to what are the benefits? What are, what are some of these things that that come with astronomy that can have, impact and actually have, some change in everyday lives. And that's what we wanted to sort of show. And in particular, wanted to also demonstrate the work of the IAU Office of Astronomy for Development, right? Because when the IAU established this office, they wanted to, to show that while we do astronomy, as astronomers, we also are people that are living on this planet. And before we astronomers, we are basically people first. And astronomers must be a good neighbor to other people and other professions as well. So how can we, how we're using astronomy not to develop the field, but to actually address sustainable development challenges. I think, we are guided mostly by the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, but within the IU strategic plan as well is to say, how are we contributing to development generally, and I think, part of the publications highlighted, some of the projects, that have, over the years, looking, for example, at our annual call for proposals, where anyone, anywhere around the world, whether you are an astronomer or not, right, can submit, a proposal to say that this is what I want to use astronomy to do in my community. So that publications also wanted to show what people, within communities are doing just with the use of astronomy. It could have been people that are living close to observatories, or people that are living in places that got dark skies, or people that just wanted to be able to reach out and then showcase what science can do to, for, in people's lives. And basically that's just what, that publication just wanted to sort of cover and also highlight. I think Joyful can also, expand on some of these points as well.
Okay, before Joy expand on that one, I want us to go a little bit back for someone who's hearing for the first time IAU OAD, what it is. Like, can you explain to someone for hearing it for the first time? Can you please tell us what IAU AOD is?
Okay, so the IAU OAD, so it is the International Astronomical Union Office for Astronomy for Development. So the International Astronomical Union is the global body for astronomers. So if you're an astronomer, you fall under this big family of over 13,000 astronomers globally, which is the International Astronomical Union. But the other things, for example, is that the IAU's main role is to sort of say what the standards are in astronomy. They set the standards for astronomy. For example, things like what is a planet? And the most famous example we always give, Mdhluli, if you go check on all other podcasts, everyone will say this when they asked about the IAU, they're the guys that demoted Pluto, right? So that's the one. That's the one
Yeah.
example that we always give. So we said, the IAU sets standards, and that's the main role. But as part of being, members of the global community, the IAU saw it important that they establish an office that looks at how, as astronomers and as the field of astronomy, we can contribute to making a difference, in people's lives. How can we use the skill, from astronomy to impact positively on life? We always say as astronomers that astronomy is an endeavor that we do on behalf of humanity. And if it's something that we're doing on behalf of humanity, the sort of question is, how are we using the skills? How are we using the methods that we are using to study this universe on behalf of humanity to actually benefit them, directly? And that's what our office looks to sort of address. And our simple, vision is just to make, it's astronomy for a better world. How can we use astronomy for a better world? And how can we use, an aspect of astronomy to address challenges that society face? Yeah, so in brief, I think I took very long actually. That's what the IAU and the OED basically are.
No, that was nice. Astronomy for a better world. That was very, very, very nice. Joy, Dr. Charles said you might want to expand more on why this publication and the aim. You can start there if you want to expand more, and then also go into how was the data used to do the conclusion of this research or the paper collected. Take us through the methodology of this work.
Well, I wouldn't want to expand on what he said, but more like summarize what he said into a simple question, which is, if you want it as a problem statement, the question is, can astronomy impact society? That's basically the question we're trying to answer. And so if we're talking about the methodology of the data taking period, so again, our office is structured such that we don't necessarily do the work that we do centered around the research methodology where we follow a certain structure of it, but it just happens. And then from that, we bring everything together to have an output. So our data would then be taken through our annual call for proposals. So Charles already mentioned this. So since 2012, the OAD, since we're a global office, we obviously cannot identify what issues are being faced globally. So it was easier for us to sort of kind of open a call to anyone and everyone from around the world where they were challenged to identify challenges within their societies and within their communities, and then find an aspect of astronomy that can contribute towards the solution to the challenge. We're not saying that astronomy is the answer to all of the issues, but can astronomy contribute towards finding a solution to the challenges that they've identified? So this call has been running since 2012, and we actually released our 2026 projects last week. So if you get an opportunity, you should have a look at all of the projects we'll be funding for this year. But since then, we've basically supported 236 projects, that is excluding this year's projects, in over 110 countries and in 5 continents. And basically, so what we did is we've received multiple proposals. So beyond the 236 that we've supported, we've had thousands of proposals coming in. And we sort of kind of came to a point where we realized that, okay, there are common themes that come up from these proposals, but then also at the same time, there are also things that are very unique since Charles mentioned that we are using the SDGs as something that is a guiding principle, you've also noticed that there's a lot of the SDG goals that have actually been addressed through this annual call for proposals. So we basically went through all of the projects we received over the years, and we thought, you know what, this would actually be a good way to start communicating to the general public what kinds of solutions can come from astronomy. And that is basically our data taking method. It was mostly through our annual call for proposals where we've had multiple proposals come in. And from that, we saw what worked, what didn't work, and what can be improved. And with every year, there is like a slight twitch into the actual call to sort of kind of guide people, saying that this is what has worked and this is where people failed. So maybe you can consider structuring projects like this. But yeah, that is basically our data taking method, is that we do it through our annual call for proposals.
It really sounds like your work is speaking to societal needs because the people are responding and you guys are using that information or that data to make decisions or refine how the projects go or move forward. So let's speak on to the results. I know you've already touched a lot, has been submitted. You guys, I'm sure you've learned a lot, you've seen a lot, you've highlighted a lot. What were the results as highlighted in the publication? I can give that to Dr. Charles.
Yeah, I think, some of the results that were sort of highlighted, in the paper, as Joyful mentioned, was sort of how our work, touched and which sustainable development goals have we addressed. That was one point of it. It also pointed out to, the collaborations that we've had over the years. How have we used, those collaborations, to sort of, impact more either on the projects that we've been working on or projects that we've been supporting. It touched a bit as well on what sort of monitoring and evaluation and follow-ups we've been doing as well, from the OED. So just going back and surfing through how we've worked with the project and sort of giving, sort of a snippet as well, because it was, we always have limited space with the paper, to sort of say what has been, the sort of impact that's been derived from the project. And again, speaking about, the amounts of money as well that has gone into these projects. And we'd say that our, the funding provided by the OED is what we'd refer to as very small funds, and sort of show and demonstrate the impact that has come out, of that investment, the investment from the IAU and all the partners that we've worked with over the years. But I think, from my point of view, I said in terms of partnerships, I think that the main thing that was also highlighted in the paper is that we can do more if we work together.
Sure.
And it sort of showed that we can do more working together with the community. It's not just about the astronomers. It's not just about, the what you call astronomy, but it's also about community building. And I also think that that's what the paper also go ahead to then communicate as well,
Yeah.
in what our findings. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. Um,
Can I add
I
on
will come
to
back
what
to you
Paul
and
said?
say which one was your aha, or when seeing the result, there's always that result to say this is very interesting. I will leave it to Charles to think about it when I go to Joy to say, do you have more to share in terms of the results that Dr. Charles has just shared?
Yeah, I think I also want to highlight that from the annual call for proposals, like you said, there were a lot of common things that were picked up from the proposals we've received. And from that actually grew our flagship projects within the office itself. So because we like evaluated all of the proposals and projects we've supported over the years, we realized that, okay, so these are things that can be scaled easily and have also maximum impact. And we've basically narrowed it down to three flagship projects that we run within the office. So the first one looks at how astronomy can contribute towards socioeconomic development, and this is achieved through astrotourism. So if you may be aware that South Africa recently launched a national astrotourism strategy. So this
Mm.
was launched 2 years ago. It's a collaboration between the Department of Tourism and the Department of Science, Technology, and Innovation. And this also just shows that astronomy can contribute. And the fact that these two departments recognize that it was something that needed to become a strategy for the country shows that astronomy can play a role towards contributing towards socioeconomic development. But then we also have another flagship project that is very interesting that looks at astronomy for mental health. So with this one, we actually have collaborators from Stellenbosch University. So we're working with the public health department, and we're looking at how astronomy can actually be used as a tool towards mental well-being. Because I mean, we know that the world in general suffers from a serious mental health crisis, and there's not enough services that can support everyone. And at the end of the day, a lot of people don't actually manage to see professionals for this. So we're saying, what other tool is more accessible that people can use while at the same time waiting to get the professional help that they require? So that is something that we're looking and exploring with the Stellenbosch University. And then the third one looks at astronomy skills. Like we said, there's a lot of skills that you gain from astronomy, but then there's also a great number of people that don't have access to those skills. So now we have a hackathon for development program that we have. And basically, this targets university students, whether they from astronomy, from data science, from computer science, from different backgrounds, and they bring them together to like address a certain challenge. And this is done in a fixed environment where you do it over a period of days, and they come up with solutions, and then those solutions are evaluated to see who did better than white. But then at the same time, you should think about how there are skills being transferred in that environment. But then also beyond that, we say, can professional astronomers also contribute towards development challenges? And then we approach it from that sense where we have professional astronomers then come together to address developmental challenges using the skills that they get from astronomy. So basically, these flagship projects were born from our annual call for proposals. And these are projects that people and individuals from around the world came up with. And imagine someone in America and someone in South Africa both submit a proposal that has to do with astrotourism. They clearly don't know each other, and they had to like think of it individually. So that just showed that, okay, because the different people from different parts of the world can actually come up with similar ideas, it shows that there's potential in that concept itself, that it can easily be scaled and implemented to for maximum benefit. So I think that paper also tries to highlight that if you're not quite sure where you can fit in terms of this whole astronomy for development concepts, there's also already existing concepts that you can adopt, and then you go expand within your respective areas and societies. So at least that's what the paper also tried to summarize and highlight for people to also consider, instead of just trying to like, come up with a new idea, which might take longer than if you just adopt an existing idea.
Wow, that was very insightful, Joy. Thank you very much. Actually, I've already found my aha, Dr. Charles. My aha was mental health. I don't know yours. You still need to you still need to
No,
share your aha.
I think Joyful gave that aha moment. I was like, God, that is the aha moment. I think, our flagship, projects are that aha moment because as Joyful, summarizes, that they are basically what the community, sees as important things, to address challenges within, the immediate society and whatever the case is. So our main role was to facilitate that and also see how we at the office can support those projects within those areas which they of course see as very important to them, to the communities. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you so much, Dr. Charles. I don't know if we have any the closing as far as the paper is concerned from Joyce's side, then I'll take it to Dr. Charles as well. So when Dr. Joy, you're thinking of the conclusion, is concluding on the paper and also the reason why we did this video, the message that you want to take out there. Maybe it's things that I did not ask, and you know that, okay, this is something that I also want people to know about. This is the time to just pour everything and make sure that we don't leave anything behind. Dr. Joy?
I think the only thing I'd like to highlight is the work that we do at our office is very multidisciplinary. So I think maybe directing to all of the researchers out there that are watching this podcast, I would actually invite them from their respective fields to reach out to the OAD so we can see how we can bring our respective sciences together to sort of kind of come up with solutions. And how can we work with the social sciences, with the physical sciences, with the biological sciences. I'm going to stop listing the sciences because I'm running out in my brain. But yeah, I'd just like to challenge everyone who's watching this, even if you're not within the research space, if you are interested, passionate about astronomy and also passionate about making a change in your community, reach out to the OAD. We're always happy to hear new ideas. We're always happy to expand on existing ideas with people's input as well. So I think the key thing is that we're open to having different people join us or work with us or partner with us, depending on what kind of contribution can be given to the OED. But we're always happy to have new ideas come into the office so we can sort of kind of expand on that and explore what could come out of it.
Great. Dr. Charles, for someone who started watching in the middle of the podcast, how do we get involved and what would be your closing remarks?
How do you get involved? I think, it's very important that, firstly you reach out. We are open. You can visit our website, astrofordev.org, and you can find information how to get in touch with any one of us. But I think, as part of my closing, I'd just like to say, astronomy is not just about, producing astronomers. It's not just about building big telescopes. It's about building a society of problem solvers, a society that, is looking to create, better neighbors throughout. We are living in a very interesting time, geopolitically and in many different ways. How can you as a person contribute to the advancement of our planet? There's been reference of what is called the overview effect of people, astronauts going to space, looking at the planet. You don't see any borders from space. These are borders that we make ourselves physically. And because of that, how can we become better neighbors to one another? How can we contribute to society in whatever different ways and use the skills, that we've gotten through our studies? And astronomy is a very good example of that to make the world a better place. Thank you.